new Sixers head coach. I think this is a very good move because he is one hell of a coach. Let's get real. He won with the Celtics with three superstars: KG, Paul Pierce, Ray Allen, and maybe Rondo if you include him as a superstar. But he won with a lot of pieces, and I feel like he can do that with the Sixers. Like he's a really good coach, even though he lost with Kawhi and Paul George. Like, first of all, it kind of was his fault, like a little bit. I'm blaming on him some
I
of
do
it,
think
but
it
it's
was
mainly.
mostly his fault.
But I am blaming the players because Kawhi Leonard and Paul George shot absolutely awful in Game 7. Like they played like crap, basically. Fourth quarter,
Yeah.
they didn't do well.
My question to you would be, if you're just going to be blaming the players, then what's the point of getting a good coach anyway? I think with Doc Rivers, and look, I'm a guy that I'm going to be honest with you is not old enough to remember what happened in 1952 when Doc Rivers coached the Boston Celtics. Sorry, 2008. But and look, I think Doc Rivers had a good team then. I think you got to look at most accurately the most recent coaching statistics. So, for example, when you look at what he did with Los Angeles Clippers, it really wasn't pretty. I mean, you see that Doc, and Paul George. You look at Paul George's stats, and I'm sorry, guys, I'm trying to think of what I was gonna say, but Paul George with the Clippers, I don't know if you remember this, but Paul George was third in MVP voting with the Oklahoma City Thunder just 1 year ago with Billy
Correct.
Donovan, who I
Correct.
personally thought we should have hired as coach of the Philadelphia
I
76ers.
think he would have been a great hire. I'm not
He would have
saying he
been a
would have been
better
a
hire.
bad.
Uh,
Maybe.
so yeah, but Doc Rivers, you look at him and he coaches him. He doesn't do well. He coaches Kawhi. I would say he had a fine season, but with load management, Kawhi Leonard did not play as much, right? And I think the chemistry with the Clippers, not good. Part of that because the GM was signing too many players, like Reggie Jackson and Joakim Noah. But part of that is because you don't let Kawhi play with Paul George. You don't let them mesh together with the rest of the team. And I think off the court, too, you saw in the locker room many reports about stuff not really happening. And then you saw in the playoffs, Doc Rivers kept going to Kawhi and Paul George, and they shot a combined 0 for 11. He doesn't make adjustments. I think he's the opposite of what the Sixers need.
I think that is a good point you brought up, but I want to talk about 2018 specifically about that here. Even though
I
this year
agree.
was
That well.
an absolute disaster for the Clippers, but 2018 he was a very, very good coach.
I agree.
He almost beat the Warriors in 6 games with no Kawhi Leonard, no Paul George. They took them to 6 games. And remember, that was Kevin Durant, Curry, Thompson, and the whole Warriors crew. That was amazing, and he did a very good job coaching again in that series.
And here is my only problem with that argument. And I see that is an argument that is made very often. But you know what my issue is?
Yeah.
How many stars were on that Clippers team? Answer truthfully.
0.
0. As a guy that I know, Stephen A. Smith loves to say a lot, 0 stars were on the team. So
Yeah.
my thing is, Doc Rivers could be a fine coach without stars, have a fun-loving culture, I guess. But you see that Doc Rivers coaches stars like Paul George and Kawhi. They don't mesh well. And this is Paul George and Kawhi wanted to play together, right? Ben and Joel, not that they don't want to play together, but it's not like they were like, let's play together. I don't think he gets them to play together well. I think he's going to let the stars slack off. He let stars slack off last time. He's going to give them preferential treatment. And I don't think it's going to work out. I really don't. But time will tell with that, I think we can say.
Like, what I think he's gonna learn about what the hell happened last year because that year, as I mentioned previously, and as Ethan mentioned, that was a disaster. Now he's gotta like, if Doc Rivers wants to be that coach, he's gotta learn what the hell went wrong with the Clippers, and he can't apply it to the Sixers. And if he does that, we're a championship contending team because look at the stats alone. We should have been at the beginning of last year, at the start of last year, we were supposed to, as Stephen A. Smith said, we were supposed to be in the NBA Finals, that he had us winning the East. And a lot of people may have said that as well. But we didn't live up to the expectations. People got injured, and Brett Brown was a crap coach.
I think the injuries are a horrible excuse. And as a Philly fan, I see it all the time with the Eagles. I'm done with the bullshit. I mean, let's be honest. You hear the injuries excuse all day, every day. Oh, the Eagles weren't good because we have injuries. Yeah, because we don't do any scouting, and we signed Jamon Brown to be an offensive lineman who gets a half sack on Carson Wentz. An offensive lineman, a half a sack. Okay. Anyway, back to the Sixers. I don't think Doc is going to improve, and here's why. I have two reasons. One, no offense to Doc, but he's old. And
So
again,
is Greg Popovich.
yeah, I don't think he's as good as Greg Popovich. And I do have a second reason.
Like he's old.
Doc Rivers, hold on. He's 59, okay? He feels older than 59. He's been coaching for so long. My point is, Doc Rivers is not like that old yet. I thought he was older than 59, but he's been coaching for a while, right? I think he's probably sick of it. He wants to retire. And the second reason, even bigger, do you know how much money we're paying Doc Rivers every year?
How
He's
much?
a 5-year contract, and I'm pretty sure we're paying him $8 million every year.
Oh my God.
So what? Let me just point out a scenario.
That's
What happens?
overpaying.
What happens if the Sixers go 0-82 this season, right? And we fire Doc Rivers. We're still paying him $8 million for the next 4 years because we signed the contract.
That's a good point.
I think Doc Rivers, and this happens to a lot of athletes too, where you feel like you have monetary security, I guess. Well, Doc Rivers already does, but you feel like you're getting paid not just security, monetary luxury, like Doc Rivers has. A lot of times you slack off. I mean, you see it happen all the time. I'm not going to list specific examples, but I think we know confidently that there are a lot. For example, Chris Davis of the Baltimore Orioles. I know this is a different sport, but you see him get the big contract and you see him be the worst player in baseball. Okay. So I think we've exhausted that Doc Rivers debate. Next,
Hope he does well.
You do as well? Yeah. I did want to bring up a report. This came up by the Sixers Sense, kind of similar to our name, Sixers Sense, Sixers Standard. Okay, but Ime Udoka, assistant coach of the Sixers, who I believe was, I guess, what you would call the defensive coordinator. He was doing the defensive stuff with the Sixers. He could leave for the Pelicans job. Well, not the Pelicans job. Stan Van Gundy won that, but to be one of the Pelicans assistant. Noah, how do you feel about this?
I think he was a very good assistant coach for us, but like we did hire Dave Jagger, I forget his name. He was from the Kings.
David Jorger.
Yeah, him. Like he was a really good assistant coach as well. So I'm not too mad about him leaving, but I really wish he stayed. He was a really good assistant coach. And he was definitely respected and liked by Sixers players.
And a few thoughts about Jaeger, what you just said, or Jorger, or whatever his name is. I think it was not the best decision to sign him. I know Buddy Hield has a feud with Jorger, so I'm not sure how that's going to go. And to Sixers fans, by the way, that are really happy or were happy about the Buddy Hield rumors before, because I know there are a lot of them. I don't mean to be a downer here. I don't think Buddy Hield's going to fix all our problems. I think he will be like Tobias Harris. He has a lot of flaws, and offensively, he cannot do that much. All he can really do is shoot off the catch. He kind of seems like another smaller Tobias Harris, but he can't really drive to the rim that much. He can't create his own shot. He can't play defense that well. I mean, again, I think Buddy Hield would fit well on this team, but I think as Sixers fans, we're imagining a universe where we would rely on him too much.
I think what you just said about Buddy Hield is correct and wrong. I think Buddy Hield can create his own shot and he can drive to the basket. And I've seen him do it.
He cannot create his own shot.
Yes, he
all
can.
Off the catch. Buddy Hield cannot dribble. And
yes, I know he can't
players that can
dribble.
dribble right now. Name name players on the Sixers that can dribble. Okay, I
Ben
think there's
Simmons,
Ben Simmons and
Raul Neto.
kinda, sure. Simmons, Neto, and kinda Shake Milton. That's literally
Oh,
it.
Shea can't dribble. He
Yes,
can't
he can.
dribble. He's not a point guard. He's a shooting guard.
He can.
You should
Okay,
never play point guard.
okay. Well, you can't tell me Neto can dribble and Shake can't.
Okay, first of all,
There's no way
Neto.
Shake is worse at dribbling than Neto.
Okay, first of all, Shake doesn't even. He's not even a point guard. Like that was just a whole disaster. Why we even put him at point
I
guard?
want to say most of that's his fault. I think he's a fine point guard. With the ball in
If
his
he was
hands,
at shooting guard, he would have been
with
very
the ball in his
good.
hands, you see what he can do, like with against the Clippers.
That was one game.
Okay, but you realize that whole like 10-game stretch before that, he was like scoring like 20 points every game. Like that, yes, that was the best game, but he had a lot of those good games right before the lockdown, and he was pretty good in the bubble as well.
Yeah, he was good.
Okay, so we have that, and Ime Udoka. I don't know how we got off that. I'm sorry. I think I was the one that deterred us from talking about Ime Udoka, but I think it's a disappointing move for him to leave. I think he was a very good coach, and I think he was well liked by the players as well for the Sixers, and he was the defensive coordinator. I think he could still fit here, but the problem is I think they kind of want to get rid of all the Brett Brown guys.
Honestly, I agree with that. Well,
I
I
would be
wish he stayed. But like, yeah, I can see where they're going with getting rid of all these Brett Brown guys.
I
can
can
see
see
where
where
they're
they're
going.
going, and I respect it, but I think
But
Udoka was a good coach, and
agree.
I would try to get him to stay. I mean, he could want to go to the Pelicans. I mean, who wants to coach for the Sixers anyway? It's the Sixers, but uh, that's all my thoughts on him, and I think we generally agree that Udoka's a good coach.
Yeah.
And then after that, I know what this is like the late news podcast right here because we're starting late and there's not that much news. So we're just kind of recapping stuff, I guess, that has happened over the last month. And the next thing I want to bring up is that Sixers front office shakeups, and that was a voice crack. Sixers front office shakeups have finally happened. Finally.
Yeah.
So Elton Brand
R.I.P.
will
Sam
remain.
Hinkie.
What about Sam Hinkie?
R.I.P. Rest in peace. He was one hell of a GM, and
He
we
didn't
want
die.
him back. I'm kidding. I mean, rip him from the Sixers.
Yeah, I would love Sam Hinkie back. He was a great GM.
Trust the process.
Yes, sir. But for those of you that don't know, Elton Brand is still the GM of the Philadelphia 76ers. It is Alex Rucker, who is his number 2, got fired. And this is actually a bigger thing than I think you guys than people are making out to be, because Alex Rucker in the Sixers organization, the number 2 GM has a bigger role than any other number 2 GM. Do you know why? It's a whole collaboration shit show. So you look at the entire team, and Elton Brand wasn't really in charge last year, so you can't really blame what went on. Alex Rucker's a Colangelo guy from his regime, and they're all kind of like assholes. So he made a lot of bad deals and, just wasn't very good. So glad he got fired.
Definitely.
And yeah, and the other news is that Peter Dinwiddie from the Indiana Pacers has been hired as our new number 2 GM. Noah, what are your thoughts about that?
I think it could be good, it could be bad. It's 50-50. Like,
Come on. Give me a take.
I'm kidding.
That's not okay.
I wish we hired Daryl Money from the Rockets, though. I wish
Do
we hired
you call him
him.
Daryl Money?
I don't know. I don't know all these names, but that guy from the Rockets, I think we should have hired over him. But like Peter Dinwiddie, like I don't really pay attention too much to this front office stuff, but like I'm excited because like it's a new scenario, it's a new number 2 option. Like I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, and changes were definitely needed. And I'll tell you what I heard about Peter Dinwiddie, at least. I've heard very positive things from him. He started at like ticket sales, and he worked his way all up to assistant GM of the Indiana Pacers. And it's what Scott O'Neil, the GM of the Philadelphia 76ers, couldn't do. He couldn't work his way into basketball operate. No, he started out as ticket sales and he went to basketball operations, something Scott O'Neil, the CEO of the Philadelphia Sixers, could not do. He could not go from corporate to basketball operations. So yeah, Peter Dinwiddie, though, I've heard really good things about him overall. I think he's a very good basketball mind, and I think he's going to be good here. I think if you look at the Indiana Pacers transactions, there's not really any really bad moves, and if you look at the Sixers transaction history, I mean, don't get me started.
Yeah.
Signing Tobias Harris to a 5-year, $180 million deal to make him the fifth highest paid player in the NBA. And then signing
Big
Al
Al.
Horford to a 4-year, $109 million deal, although he's already 36. So he's like 32, but and
Yeah.
then it's like it's all these stupid things. It's like trading Robert Covington and Dario Saric and like a first round pick for Jimmy Butler, who's just gonna leave a sour
Don't even
taste
say
in
his
your mouth.
last name.
What?
Don't even say that name. That name
I
is a
said it. I
disgrace to
said it.
Sixer society.
And then trading 2 first-round picks for Tobias Harris, as well as the biggest piece in the deal, Landry Shamet, who is looking to be a stud, for Tobias Harris, who we overpaid. And then this one's even worse. And not even that it's on a bigger scale, but the fact that we traded 3 second-round picks for like 15 games of Alec Burks and Glenn Robinson III. 3 second-round picks for like
No, that
15
we
games of
overpaid.
Alec Burks and Glenn Robinson III, who weren't even that good. Glenn Robinson was atrocious. Alec Burks, I think, improved a lot towards the end, but 15 games. I mean, come on.
That's bull.
That's what I'm saying. But yeah, and now we will go, I believe, to our next segment. Which Sixers players deserve to stay?
Ooh, this is an interesting
No, I'll start
topic.
with you. We're gonna go through actually the entire roster, and you're gonna tell me why. And I'm gonna list off every player's name, and we're both gonna decide if they should stay or if they should go.
Yeah.
First player on the list. I'm gonna go from the backside. I'm just on the Google roster. Glenn Robinson III.
Oh, we need to get the
I think-
hell out of here.
Yeah, I think, and you can give your take after on this, but Glenn Robinson III comes in, complains about Brett Brown 1 week after, and goes 0 for 10 from 3. 0 for 10. He's complaining about his role. You shouldn't complain about your role. I mean, you're getting the opportunity to take shots. You're just not hitting the shots, which means you're a bad basketball player. So you shoot 0 for 10 from 3, complain about your role, and then you go into the bubble and you get hurt. He's not coming back. Any other thoughts?
Agree with what you said. Like, I don't care if he complains to Brett Brown. Again, it's Brett Brown. But, like, him not hitting shots is just unacceptable. And he can't be, like, complaining when he can't even back up how he's playing. He's playing like dog shit.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think he should get the hell out of here.
And with what you said about Brett Brown, I think he was partially a scapegoat. I don't know if what he did was all his fault, but I mean, yeah, you can't do that and not back up your play.
Yeah.
Second player on this list, Norvel Pelle.
Oh, he's staying.
Yeah, all the
I
way.
want it.
Norvel is, if you guys didn't know, which you probably didn't because this is our first episode, Norvel is one of my favorite players. He brings a ton of energy to the Sixers. And he is one of the best rim protecting centers in the NBA. You see him in games. He comes in, 2 minutes left. He gets like 3 blocks in like 2 minutes. It's insane. He is an elite shot blocking center, a really good rim runner, really fun to watch. And yeah, I mean, he's a hardworking guy. He's already 27. He's been grinding. Like he was in the G League for a ton of years, and they finally caught him up, signed him to a full. He was on a 2-way contract, signed him to a full contract. I think he's a guy that's going to work hard and could be a great backup center next year.
Yeah, definitely. Now, Zaire Smith.
Hey, so this is actually intriguing. What are your thoughts? I want to hear your thoughts first.
Honestly, like he's not good. Like he can't shoot, he just attacks a rim and that's all. But there might be NBA teams that could be interested in him. So I think we try to trade him or he just leaves.
I agree with everything you said until you said that there's going to be interest, because there's not. And this is why my point differs from yours. Zaire Smith has been horrible playing for the Sixers. But he still has a lot of potential. He is still a pretty young player. And my thing is, he's not going to get anything back in trades. No one in the NBA is interested in him. We've seen it. They played him at the, remember that time when the Sixers played Zaire Smith, like right before the trade deadline to try to garner some interest?
Yeah.
Was he traded?
No.
Do you know why?
Why?
No one's interested.
Hmm.
I think you got to keep him. If his trade value goes up, then you trade him. But his trade value is nothing. So I think you just got to roll with it and see if he improves. Because if you give him up for nothing and he ends up being a superstar, then you lose. It's a lose-lose situation if you trade him. You're not going to get anything good.
Yeah.
Next, we have Marial Shayok, which I don't think we're going to spend too much time on. But our second-round draft pick, generally impressed. I think he should stay.
I think he stays. I watched highlights of him during summer league. He was really good shooting. I think he could develop maybe somewhere good. So I think we keep him for now.
Very lengthy too.
Yeah. Reminds me of a shorter KD. Just shorter. But
I don't
not like
know.
the superstar. Not the
Damn,
superstar.
look at that take. You see, this is why you watch our podcast.
Not the
Look at this. You might have predicted it. Marial Shayok is the next Kevin Durant.
not like he plays like Kevin Durant, but like he's like just a lot worse version than him. Like a lot worse. But he plays a lot like
I think he's better than KD.
But all jokes aside, I think he's a lot worse version of Kevin Durant.
Yeah, I kind of see where the comparison's coming from. Again, no jokes aside. Then after that, we got Ryan Broekhoff. Funny story. We signed Ryan Broekhoff 2 days later, and when we gave him a lot of money. I think we got him like $500,000. 2 days later, he says, "No, I'm not going. I'm going to stay home. I'm going to take care of my family and my baby. So I just get $500,000 for doing nothing, and I screw the Sixers over." So here's the question: does he deserve to come back? I think.
Hell no. That. Get him out of here.
Get him out of here. Yes, sir. Then this is a really interesting one. Want to hear your thoughts, Mike Scott?
It's hard. Like,
I love him.
He's really good, like, mentoring. But I don't know, like, it's hard, though. Because, like, he's a good shooter at some cases, and then just is absolutely crap. I think we maybe keep him for one more year and see, and then maybe just let him go.
Here's what I would say about Scott. He's like, to be honest, like a pretty bad basketball player. Like, and that means no offense, I guess, but like at this point, I think Mike Scott is very limited in what he could do. He could somewhat shoot the ball, but he's very streaky. Other than that, he is clueless on defense, and I mean clueless on defense. And other than that, he can't really do anything. Other than that poster dunk on Kyrie Thomas, that was sick. It was the last game before the NBA ended. That was the best dunk I've ever seen.
Yeah.
But with a guy like Scott, not sure if he's going to garner any interest. Again, he's a great locker room guy, great guy overall. You're not willingly trading him, for anything. But, if he comes up in a trade that is a can't pass deal, then you trade him.
Yeah.
Then we got Raul Neto. Nope. I don't think we got to even explain why.
No.
He's horrible. I mean, he can't do anything. He looks clueless on defense. Clueless. Offensively, I mean, I'll give you this. I'll tell you this. he can shoot. He's
Yeah.
a really good shooter from beyond the arc. Other than that, he is a really weak, unathletic white guy that can't do anything else except for shoot. So I think he goes.
All right. Alec
Next, we got
Burks.
Alec Burks.
Keep
I was
We
very
keep him.
impressed with what Alec Burks did
in the
bubble.
playoffs. He was
I
insane
think-
in the bubble.
I think you have Embiid, and then Alec Burks was the guy that was taking the next most shots, and I feel like he's a guy that can take the shots.
Hey, and he created his own shot.
Creates his own
Insane,
shot
man.
very well off the dribble, and he can dribble. When we were talking about dribbling, Alec Burks can dribble.
Hey, yeah.
Very good.
Fighting.
He has a really good handle, by the way. You have
Yeah.
Alec Burks can dribble, Ben Simmons can dribble, and that's really it.
Yeah.
So I think Alec Burks comes back. Again, he's going to have a lot of competition in free agency, but if you can sign him, then you do. It's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
Another interesting one. Kyle O'Quinn.
Kyle. It's kind of like the Mike Scott one. He's a good locker room presence. He's a good mentor. Like, we've seen him a lot. If you guys watch Matisse Bible's vlogs,
Yeah.
like, he was in a lot of them. And, like, he was hanging out with him the most. He was probably most in his vlogs, besides Tobias Harris. I think again, it's kind of, I think it's the one. It's like Mike Scott, basically. I don't know. I feel like he's old, and I feel like we should just let him go, even though he's one great locker room guy.
So here's my take on Kyle O'Quinn. He's actually not as old as you think. He's only 30. He looks like he's 40. I mean, look at him. It looks like he's 40, but apparently he's only 30. Maybe lying about his age. I'm not. I'm sorry, Kyle O'Quinn. I didn't mean to pick on you, but Kyle O'Quinn, I think he's a guy that's really good in the locker room. But whenever Kyle O'Quinn saw the court, he was actually really good. He put in a lot of effort. I feel like defensively, he was very good at the rim. He's one of the best passing bigs out there. He is very good at passing out of the post, unlike another big man on the Sixers. But Kyle O'Quinn's very good at passing out of the post. I feel like he does actually everything really well. And if it was my choice, I would re-sign him. He's good at everything. He's a great locker room presence. But the problem is, we didn't play him at all this year, and I don't think Kyle O'Quinn likes the Sixers. I think he got really aggravated that we didn't play him last year. You know, we got Norvel Pell over him. Not sure if there's really a fit there. I would love to bring him back, but I just don't think it's a good fit.
Yeah.
Then we got Furkan Korkmaz. That's obviously a yes,
Yep.
I think, unless.
Yep.
Remember when you used to
Agree.
hit on
He's
Furkan?
young. I know, because he sucked at defense and he couldn't shoot that well.
I mean,
He was
Furkan
he
is
did
really
well.
the best shooter on our team. He is the only shooter on our team except for mini Kevin Durant. Man, we gotta have Mariel Shayok on the podcast. You gotta ask. You gotta ask him if he's the next KD. But Furkan, I think he's really good. He's young. He can shoot. Fits well with the team. I think it's a no-brainer. Next up, another
What he
interesting
did in
one.
the playoffs sucked.
In the playoffs? I mean,
He
everyone
absolutely sucked.
except for Embiid. Let's be honest.
And Alec Burks. Don't
Yeah,
sleep on my boy
Alec
Alec.
Burks, okay.
All right, next.
Next, another interesting one. Jay Rich.
Trade him. Trade his ass. He's garbage. He can't shoot. The only thing he can do is defend. Trade his ass.
I think on offense, he is a liability. He stalls the ball on offense. I mean, whenever Jay Rich touches the ball on offense, unless it's a catch and shoot opportunity, you are like punching yourself in the face. He's like, catches it, does a little dribble moves, goes here, goes there.
He shoots like
nothing done.
sideways. He shoots like that. Kind of like Lonzo a little bit.
But I think Jay Rich, if he has any value, you trade him. He didn't fit on the team last year. He's not going to fit anymore. Then we got Shake. I think
No-brainer, keep him.
an obvious yes. But
But
the
we
thing is,
move him to
Shake might have
shooting
value.
guard.
So if you get value for him in a trade that is really good, then it's a tough decision to part from him. I think Shake's my favorite player on the team. I love him. He can shoot well, and I think he's developing on defense. He has the potential to be a superstar, I think, with his scoring ability. I think he's a very good finisher as well. I wouldn't trade him, but if you come across a really good deal and you get good value for him, always willing to explore something. You know, Shake's
Yeah.
wingspan is 7 foot.
Damn. He was like 6'5".
6'5", 7. He's 6'5" and has a 7 foot wingspan.
That's tough.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Like,
But we gotta move him to shooting guard. He can't play point guard anymore. He gotta play shooting guard.
I think he's a good combo guard. He can play both. He's not a great dribbler, but I mean, he's very good with the ball in his hands, shooting wise, because he's not a good ball handler, but shooting, like creating off the dribble, he can actually create. I think he's good
Yeah.
off the catch and creating his own shot, but I feel like there is value there because nobody else on our team can really create except for Alec Burks.
Yeah.
So I think there is some value into him being a point guard. And then we got a guy that I don't think we need to talk about that much. It's Al Horford.
Trade him.
Trade him. I would tell
next.
him to get him away, and we will have a trade machine discussion after this.
Very,
But I think
very
Al Horford
soon.
has to go. Pretty obvious.
Next.
Matisse Thybulle.
If another good deal comes, trade him. But I'd rather keep him. He's a lot of potential. Probably one hell of a defender. And if he can get a good jump shot, he'll be outstanding.
I think Matisse is a guy that could develop to be very good. To be honest, I think Shake's potential is higher, but I think Matisse could be very good. He is an elite defensive player. I think he's a little bit overrated. I think he bites too much. He still has a lot to learn.
And it's
I
only a
think the
rookie.
jump shot's not there. I think he's a bad finisher at the rim, but all this can improve. What I'm trying to say is Matisse's value right now is sky high. Sky high. If a deal comes across that you're getting a really good player, if you have a can't miss deal, then you trade him. But I think I would, and as 98.7% of Sixers fans would really want to keep him because great guy and a great defender who could, really become more.
Yeah.
Now this we're actually going to talk about Ben and Joel first because this last player I think is going to be the most controversial. But
yeah.
Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons, we're just going to do these guys together.
Yeah.
And I think they should stay. I mean, they're the stars, right?
Give them one more year.
You give them another year. There's a reason you hired a new coach. Not that I like the coach you hired, but there's a reason you change up the front office. You hire a new coach. I think you give him another year. I don't think Ben and Joel are the problem. I think, the personnel you put around them is a problem. That's why I think you trade Al Horford. That's why I think you trade all these other pieces. But yeah, I think you have to give it a little bit longer. I'm really annoyed by all the rumors. Oh, Joel Embiid to the Golden State Warriors for Andrew Wiggins. Andrew Wiggins is a negative asset. So you're saying we're giving you a positive asset, and you're giving us an asset that isn't even anything positive. Like Damian Lee would be a positive asset. Andrew Wiggins is a negative asset. His contract is the worst in the NBA. So the fact that if the Warriors call and try to get Joel Embiid, we are hanging up the phone unless Klay Thompson is included in the deal. We are hanging up the phone and never talking to you again because it is a disgrace. Unless you're giving us like 5 first-round picks. That's a different story, but
But I think we either, if we get good pieces, we trade Joel Embiid because I'd rather keep Ben Simmons. If we're being real, I think, and this is going to be so controversial, but I think what Embiid did in the playoffs, I think if we had Ben Simmons, we could have gone to 6 or 7 games against the Celtics because he is that good of a defender.
I don't think that argument's valid, and I'll tell you why. How old did the Sixers play in that series against the Celtics?
Like 24.
How old did they play?
They played awful. The only player that played well was Embiid. And if we had Simmons neutralizing Jason Tatum, we would have won games.
But the thing is, the offense wouldn't be there with Simmons. You saw the Sixers didn't score a lot of points.
Yeah, first of all, Ben Simmons can score the damn ball. as much as we give him
Ben
as a
Simmons
pass first
will
guy, he
average
can
17
score.
points as our number one scorer, 17 points a game. All he can do is finish around the rim. He cannot shoot whatsoever. He cannot be your primary offensive option. And I think a guy like Embiid, he played well in the playoffs. You can't penalize him for playing well in the playoffs. He had no support. No one else played it well other than him and Alec Burks. I think you can – it's fine if you have an argument to trade Joel Embiid, but that argument cannot be because of that playoff series. I think he played very well.
It's not. And that also transpired in the regular season when Embiid went out and the Sixers were versing, I'll give you one team in specifics, even though they did this against multiple teams. One team in specifically, the Los Angeles Lakers, who had LeBron James and Anthony Davis. And this was with no Joel Embiid. And I get it's one game. They did this for multiple games.
Didn't they lose it?
No, they won because of Ben Simmons. He
I'm
scored
pretty sure they won the Embiid game. Is this the one in the LA trip when we played the Clippers, the Lakers, the Kings, and whatever other team?
No,
Or is this the one at the Wells Fargo Center?
Wells Fargo Center.
Pretty sure that Embiid was healthy then.
No, he wasn't.
Let me fact check that.
It was when LeBron passed Kobe Bryant.
Yeah, I know.
For
The
the
day before
points.
Kobe died. Let me
He
see.
was not healthy.
Well, I'm going to fact check that. Hold on. Yeah, you're right. Okay. So, Joel did not play that game, and did we win that game? Yes, we did.
Yes.
You're right. I'm sorry. I forgot that. But I think Ben Simmons is there. But you look at the score. We scored 108 points. I think you need a better offensive option. In that game, you got 29 points from Tobias Harris, as well as 16 from Al Horford. And that still only scored
27 from Simmons and
that,
like
yes,
10 assists.
And that still only scored you 108. I think that's more support than you're usually going to get, and I think you need a better offensive option. So I don't think this argument is going to get anywhere. Let's be honest. But I think we keep both of them in the end. But if you're keeping one of them, I think that's a tough decision. But I would lean towards Embiid. And the last guy I had, and I wanted to save this guy to last for a reason. What are your thoughts on Tobias Harris?
I don't know. I will give him one more year because it's with Doc Rivers.
Yeah, this is a tough one.
That's why I'm only giving him one more year. And if he sucks, trade him.
I think Tobias is not a great defender.
He's awful. He's below average.
He's not awful.
Oh, he's awful.
He's an okay defender. He is a streaky shooter and can kind of finish at the rim, but is slow. He's not worth $180 million, to tell you that. I think with Tobias,
yeah, no crap.
The thing is, you're not going to be able to trade him. So
Yeah,
I think you kind of have to keep him because he's not going to get any value. I think he did play well under Doc Rivers, so you got to give that a try. But if he doesn't do well, you try to trade him.
Yeah.
And then the last section of our podcast will be the trade section.
Yeah.
So we're going to share our screens. And Noah, you want to go first? Or?
Yeah, I'll go first.
Okay, so share your screen.
You disable me to share my screen? It says it's like disabled.
Hold on, let me see if I can change that. All participants, okay.
Is it changed?
Try it now.
Okay. Oh, there we go.
Make sure you get Trade NBA up.
Yep.
Okay, there we go. We have Trade NBA up, and the target for today's trade section is trading Al Horford away. I think you guys know why Al Horford has been horrible with the Sixers, and we have 4 trades that we compiled carefully. Me and Noah, he has 2, I have 2. We're going to explain all of them and debate all 4 trades, and then I think that's going to be the podcast. You can start.
Yeah. So, Buddy Hield is we need this guy. He is a really good shooter. He's like 27, 26. He's still very young. And he could have a lot of potential. And I feel like we need shooting on this team. And this guy can shoot the damn ball. And we trade away Horford because the Kings actually need a big man. Like they have like Marvin Bagley, who we thought was 6'11", but he's actually 6'8". He is tiny. I know. Al Horford can play that center position, and I feel like he plays it better. He doesn't play well as a power forward. He plays good as a center. So I think that'll be a good fit for them. And then they get Jay Rich, who's a really good defender, and they can play him off the bench behind Bogdanovich, and then throw in like 2 second round picks. And I think that is a trade that I think they should accept.
Yeah,
And
I
now
think.
you can go.
And so you think this will help the Sixers a lot with the Buddy Hield?
Yes.
I would agree with you on this trade. I think Al Horford is a negative asset for the Kings. I think Josh Richardson is a positive asset and a young player they can look forward to. And I think they also get 2 second-round picks. I think this would be a borderline trade that they would accept if you throw in a first. I think they'd do the deal. But definitely a deal that I could see happening for both sides, I think.
Yeah. Then one more trade. This is Sixers and Rockets. So the Rockets were getting Al Horford and a 2023 lottery protected pick. And we'll be getting Eric Gordon and Ben McLemore. Again, we're just getting 2 shooters. Eric Gordon, he actually won the 3-point contest, and I believe it was 2017. So he can shoot the ball very well. 26. Well, it was one.
Here, let me look that up. Let's look it up. Eric Gordon.
I remember him winning.
Hold on, let's see. You're right, 2017. Everything I fact check, you're just right.
Yeah. So he can shoot the ball. And then we have Ben McLemore. I'm going to look up his age because I believe he is still very young. And not Ben Simmons. Hold on. I'm just going to do my little copy and paste.
Okay.
Man. So Ben McLemore, he is 27. That's like Buddy Hield's age.
Yeah.
And he's a pretty good shooter. So like we just get 2 good shooters. And then we just trade away Horford, which is good. And the Rockets need a big man. They need someone like who's big, and Horford might fit them. You never know. And plus we get that salary of Horford away from us. So I think it's a good deal.
I think this is an amazing deal, and I think you did a really good job putting this together. I think McLemore and Eric Gordon are 2 good shooters that come to us. It's a good fit for us. The Rockets, it's obvious that they're not doing small ball anymore. They let go of Daryl Morey, so I think they're done with their experiment. They get Horford, who's a good big. They also get a first-round pick to entice them to take on the salary. They get off of Eric Gordon's contract, which is atrocious, and throw in Ben McLemore. I think this is a good deal.
Yep. Now I'm going to let you share your screen right now.
Okay, so hold on. Just let me see. I have to allow Zoom to do this. Hold on. And if it makes me like quit or something, I think I might just tell you what it is, but
okay.
Yeah, it's gonna make me quit it. So I'm just gonna tell you what the trades are, and you guys won't have the visual. But yeah, I don't want to have to quit this meeting because then we're gonna have to start all over again.
Yeah.
So the first deal in here is to the Mavericks. I think they need a center. Porzingis is not a good rebounder. He's not very athletic. Al Horford's a big guy that they can have down there, and they could use him there. We also give them the first-round pick to take on a salary. And in exchange, the Sixers get a Philly guy, or at least a Villanova guy, Jalen Brunson, and a shooter, Tim Hardaway Jr. And I think this would help the team. We get a guy that can shoot off the catch, can't really create, can't really dribble, in Hardaway Jr., and a guy that can dribble and, kind of do everything in Brunson.
Yeah, I think this is a really good trade. Again, Jalen Brunson, my guy from Villanova. And, he can create his own shot. He's a point guard. I think he'll be a very good backup point guard to Ben Simmons. And if we decide to play Simmons at the power forward, then he'll be starting. So I think it's a good trade.
I think you either you're saying you would start Brunson.
Yes, not Jake at the point guard. Brunson, I would start.
That's surprising. I think what I would do, if I had the same Sixers lineup today, hypothetically, but with that trade in place, I think I would do Simmons at the 1, Shake at the 2, Jay Rich at the 3, and then Tobias at the 4 and Embiid at the 5.
Maybe.
I think Simmons you're not going to change it up if you don't have to.
Yeah.
And then the second trade I have is a blockbuster. And the Sixers are trading for a guy on the Hawks, John Collins. So Collins is a guy that is very, very underrated. Do you know that last year, John Collins, who is a 6'10 power forward center, shot 40% from 3?
Crazy to believe.
Crazy. Also, do you know that John Collins averaged 21 points last year?
Another crazy.
Another crazy. Do you know that he also shot 58% from the field?
This guy's underrated, man.
I told you. He can shoot from 3. He can do everything. And what about rebounding? Let's go there. Hold on. Where are rebounds? Oh, is rebounds, total rebounds? 10.1 rebounds a game. That's really good.
Yeah.
So you have John Collins, who is going to come in and average 21 points. And I think the Hawks don't really need him. They already have it big. So they get off Collins. They get Horford, who can play the power forward. And I just contradicted myself. I said they don't really need another big. But, I mean, I think this trade gives them really good value. So we get Collins, and we also get Dwayne Dedmon, who is vastly overpaid. We just get him to fill salary.
Yeah.
We give them Horford, we give them the Oklahoma City pick, and we give them the 2023 lottery protected pick. The Hawks are a team that are still rebuilding, right? Let's be honest. Trae Young and John Collins has not worked. They got 10 wins. John Collins is a really good all-around player. Trae Young is a very good offensive player. That should be a recipe for playoffs, but they were the worst team in the league. The combination obviously hasn't worked. You switch it up, and you still keep your best player there while getting 2 first-round picks since you're still rebuilding. I think that's the deal the Hawks do, and I think for Collins, your starting lineup would be Simmons at the 1, Shake at the 2, Jay Rich at the 3, Collins at the 4. That was actually kind of weird. Never mind. Your starting lineup would be Simmons at the 1, Shake at the 2, Tobias at the 3, Collins at the 4, and Embiid at the 5.
There you go.
With Jay Rich either coming off the bench or getting screwed.
Yeah, I like the trade.
Like the trade. Anything else you would like to add before we end the podcast?
I think that's it.
Think that's it? Okay. Well, thank you guys for watching the first podcast, the Sixers Standard. Yeah, I mean, I think that's it. Unless you want to talk about the Eagles. You want to talk about the Eagles?
Do you want to? It's your choice.
Yeah, I think we should talk about the Eagles. Okay.
Okay. False alarm. We're back.
Yes, we are back. We are doing an Eagles section in the podcast. What did you think about last night?
It was a shit show last night. First of all,
bad. I think Daniel Jones's run sums up the NFC.
Probably one of the biggest memes in football right now.
Daniel Jones at the 50, at the 40, at the 30, at the 20, and he slips. Man.
Bro, I can't take that.
They did end up scoring a touchdown on that drive. If that hurt them, that would be hilarious. But in all seriousness, what are your thoughts on how the Eagles played?
Oh my God, Wentz. I can't take this guy anymore. I'm done.
I think what I saw last night is he didn't have enough weapons, and offensively, he didn't play well, though, until those last 2 drives. You saw there was a fire in Wentz. Those last 2 drives, he led them to 2 straight touchdown drives. I think the first one was to Greg Ward, and then the second to Boston Scott with the signature Giants spin move.
Yeah.
Boston Scott be spinning like Pascal Siakam, you know. Like, but I think the game overall is a disappointment. I think it really shows that it doesn't matter who wins the NFC East because you're going to lose in the first round, even if you do. But anyways, if you guys do want to see the Eagles in the playoffs, that was don't want to say encouraging, but it was something. It's a win.
Yeah.
I'm
just so
now you're 2-5-1 at the top of the division. We are the leaders in the NFC East.
This makes no sense.
That's insane. The division is truly horrible.
Used to be good. That's like dog shit.
It's the worst division in NFL history, probably.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, I think the next game we have the Cowboys, and I think unless we exploit their run defense, hopefully Miles Sanders is back. Oh, I don't think he will be. He's out a while. Oh. Hopefully Boston Scott, can do his thing, as well as Corey Clement, who is not very good.
Garbage.
I think if Boston Scott can do his thing, we need to get the run game going against their bad defense. But I'm concerned because if the Eagles have a hard time pulling off a win like this, we're not going to be able to win any other big games. Just very disappointed. And I think Howie Roseman, first of all, Howie Roseman needs to be fired. But if he isn't fired, he needs to rebuild the team. I think
Wentz needs to go. If he doesn't start playing his ass off every damn possession,
everyone needs
to get the hell out of here.
Except for Wentz and Sanders. I think Wentz has to stay.
No,
I think Wentz
needs to get the out of here.
I think he's a warrior. He fought well at the end of that game. I think
that was 2 damn possessions.
Yeah, but I mean, I think you got to be very patient with Wentz. I think everyone has to go except for the young players. Wentz can stay. I feel like
first of all, this guy has 10 interceptions. He already has 10 interceptions, and they played like 8 games. He has 10 interceptions.
That is bad.
Some guys don't even have 10 interceptions at the end of the year. And he has it right now?
Here's my question. Which Sixers players are you not triggered with yet?
I'm not triggered with Ben Simmons.
Oh, sorry, not Sixers, Eagles.
Oh, Eagles. I'm not triggered with Greg Warren, Miles Sanders, Fletcher Cox yet.
I'm not triggered with Travis Fulgham.
And Travis Fulgham.
Greg Ward. I'm triggered with Sanders. I think he's not been good. Triggered with Ward. I'm not triggered with Ward. I'm not triggered with Fulgham.
Okay, Ethan.
And J.J. Arcega-Whiteside has been cool. No, I'm kidding. I hate J.J. Arcega-Whiteside.
DK Metcalf, you should have been an Eagle.
It's insane, the Eagles' drafting skill. It's horrible.
My guy is insane. We're fixed all of our problems.
Is there anything else you would like to say?
F Wentz and F the Eagles.
Words of wisdom by Noam Opswitz right there. But yeah, I think that's going to be the end of the show unless you have anything else to say. You have anything else to bring up?
No, I think that's it.
Okay, so for real this time, that will be the end of the Sixers Standard podcast and sometimes the Eagles Standard podcast when we feel like talking about the Eagles. I am Ethan Koppelman, along with Noam Opswitz. We'll see you guys next time.